Now, 3 months ago, this gang from Birmingham was jailed for a total of 47 years for one of the biggest ever conspiracies to smuggle heroin into the UK. The haul was worth a fortune and was a result of months of painstaking undercover work. The plotters' plan was audacious and, they thought, ingenious: to smuggle drugs into Britain in rugs.
Don't want any hold-ups. We've been planning this for months.
In January last year, a cargo plane touched down at Birmingham Airport. In its hold, amongst the parcels and packages from all over the world, were 3 bales of hand-woven rugs. Bound for a depot in Leicester, they looked unremarkable, only they were anything but. The rugs arriving that day were the centrepiece of an international drug smuggling ring worth millions of pounds.
The parcels hardly gave anything away, but the documentation caught customs attention. 25 rugs from Afghanistan, their destination address in the Midlands, and a single contact number, a UK mobile phone.
Where has the consignment come in from? If it's a drug source country, in this case Afghanistan, that would ring the first alarm bell. We examined the paperwork, looking for any anomalies. There was a suspicion there. If something isn't right, it isn't right.
And it wasn't. After rolling out the rugs and finding nothing, customs decided to go for broke and started cutting into the rugs. Suddenly, powder was everywhere.
The powder that exploded from the rugs was pure heroin. It had been concealed in tiny plastic straws, intricately woven into it. It was clear customs had stumbled upon a huge and sophisticated operation involving months of planning, organisation and help from the drug lords of Afghanistan. Whoever was behind this would not be easy to catch.
Within minutes, SOCA, the serious organised crime agency, had been alerted and a specialist team was on their way to Birmingham Airport. Their best chance of catching the gang was to follow the rugs to their delivery point. But the rugs were in tatters and the clock was ticking.
Why the hell is it taking so long? The priority was to make sure that those drugs didn't get onto the streets, and so we couldn't therefore allow the original rugs to leave our custody. So we had to immediately find some substitute rugs which would pass for the original.
Hastily, 25 fake rugs were made ready for delivery. Wrapped in the original packaging, SOCA hoped they would stay undiscovered long enough to get a lead to the men behind the plot.
Hello, sir. I'm going to run this from the command vehicle. I want real-time updates from surveillance.
Looks like some kind of distribution warehouse.
Find out if it's got any history. Drug links. Let's go!
Within hours, the surveillance team arrived in Leicester. They watched as an undercover officer handed over the dummy rugs. Everything seemed to be going to plan. Then, in front of their eyes, the rugs, unchecked and completely intact, were transferred into a car. Filmed by surveillance moments earlier, the driver had been spotted waiting nearby. It was clear the warehouse was not the final destination. SOCA had to follow.
We continued the surveillance with the vehicle that now had the rugs in it. At some point it went through a red light, which the surveillance team couldn't do, otherwise they would have not stayed covert.
All they could do was watch as their target disappeared from sight.
The car was found abandoned on a side street. It seemed as if all had been lost, but a closer look revealed the rugs were still in the back, untouched and in their original packaging. Why? Was this part of the gang's plan, or had they been spooked?
We were reasonably confident they would come back to the vehicle because their drugs were in it, and that was £750,000 for them.
The surveillance team watched until, out of the blue, a low loader appeared. The car and the rugs were then driven away. The team followed, not knowing where it would take them, but the long journey finally ended in Sparkhill in Birmingham, where, for a second time, the car was abandoned on a roadside. After 36 hours of surveillance, SOCA decided it was time to take the car in for forensic examination. until now they had no real lead. That was about to change.
The driver had made a simple mistake. He left an empty drinks bottle in the car. On it were traces of his saliva, minute, but just enough for scientists to extract DNA. It was all that soccer needed to give them a name. Asif Khan.
With a previous conviction for stealing, Khan's DNA was on the national database. After a huge trawl, the team then found images of him on CCTV. The car had been hired by him in Birmingham a few days earlier. It was a breakthrough, a definite link to the gang. They'd worked out their first man, but who were the others? Along with the delivery address, the gang had provided a mobile phone number. Could this be a lead to the other conspirators?